So, welcome back. Here we are again, another afternoon, and a chance to hear somebody very, very special to me share something good. The guy who's sharing the screen, his name is Joe Mullings. I met Joe Mullings online, and don't go let your brain get nuts with that. We met each other through LinkedIn. He is one of the 5 people that I hang out with. He has influenced my life more than any other person in social media. I love this guy. He's a friend. He's a serial entrepreneur. He is going to share with you something good. Take it away, Joe Mullings.
Thank you, Steve. That's a really high bar and high honors, because influencing you online, I mean, I think you've crushed it as well as any entrepreneur I personally know. There are people who play on the LinkedIn platform, and there are people who play the LinkedIn platform, and you do play the LinkedIn platform extraordinarily well. So I'll take that intro all the way home. I appreciate that. And,
well, it's true. The way I found you was you were putting out content way before I think anybody even understood what the value of content was. And I'll never forget it. It was one video where you spoke specifically about how the verbiage and how we treat the recruiting game. And every company I deal with is recruiting salespeople all the time. You did it in a whiteboard. Boom, boom, boom. Here are the changes. I went like I got hit by lightning. So share with my audience, what you do. I know you do a lot now. Everybody's going to follow you after that, but in short order, tell them what you do and then sort of why it's so unique and all that stuff.
Sure. So I am chairman and CEO of the TMG companies. That started about 30 years ago as a talent acquisition company, talent access company, headhunting company. And we specialize in med tech and life science. And over that time, we became the #1 search firm in the world, just based on pure revenue as well as pure placements. About 5 or 6 years ago, and I've had a history of, I've had one of the bigger mixed martial art teams, fighters in the UFC, especially at the 155 range. I had one of the largest mixed martial arts. Also gyms in the South Florida area called the Armory. Those that are local will know the name of that. So I've always been a serial entrepreneur, but about 5.5 years ago, I had a big contract with Google and Johnson & Johnson and had to come up with a way to bring in 300 plus super high level thought leaders, engineers, PhDs in the Bay Area. There was no way I was going to pull that off in the old analog way, one phone call, one point of influence. And we came up with a social strategy. And at that time, I don't believe LinkedIn had video on the platform. We were probably one of, if not the first, deploying video on LinkedIn. And we started storytelling. I hired 2 young college kids with 1 camera. And I started digitally telling stories about brands, about a hiring narrative for clients. And that client happened to be Google and Johnson & Johnson, 2 anchor clients. And from that, we've grown into a 12-person, multi-million-dollar production company that has created a weapon that allows me to point it at all of my businesses. Now, I mentioned in the beginning TMG companies. So we now have a brand building business for clients. Steve and I actually have launched First Movers Group, but it's been delayed now with the COVID thing. We've got our search business. We've got a consulting business that services the life science industry. But when you can take the ability to create content, high quality content with fantastic messaging that generally educates, informs, and inspires, especially on LinkedIn, you now have a weapon to reach people viscerally as well as at scale. So I think that's how I would encompass all of the TMG companies.
Yeah, I think you do a good job of telling that narrative, because one overlaps another, but there is a common theme that you are willing to put yourself in front of all of it and say, this is me, like it or not. This is genuinely me. I mean, I happen to think you're a really interesting guy. Some people may not, but who cares, man? Nobody likes everybody.
That's why they make the scroll button, bro. I mean, every once in a while, I'll get somebody bash on me. It's funny. You get thousands of people who will throw you kudos, but you only remember the one person who was like, dude, what's your issue with putting your picture up all the time? And that's the one that keeps you up all night. Meanwhile, the thousands of other people are throwing cred your way. You're like, what? And then, I always feel sorry for them. Like, gosh, you must have a miserable life to type on your keyboard, stop, and hate me at a distance, and then go on with your day. So, yeah, look, I'm just me. Who is it? Rodman, 50% of the people hate me, 50% love me. It's probably not
Yeah.
as 50 that love me. Yeah, it's okay.
It's probably not, I mean, what I've noticed and what was so attractive to me was being the leader of the company to take or first to understand and then to take the action to put your brand in front of all of that, because ultimately you were the driver anyway. That's, I think, the paradigm shift that people are having. And this pandemic just crushed it into a tin can and said, holy shit, I got to get in. And like my phone and my social media blew up because everybody's going, all right, now we know what you were talking about. We got to do it.
Branding is so important. Brand, reputation, whichever you want to call it, is so important. And the number one rule with marketing is strong brands come out of recessions and depressions first and strongest. So that's really important to understand. And the other side is right now, if you do buy, right, you do spend on social, it's the lowest cost of all time for the most eyes. So if you did want to do ad spend, whether it was, pre-roll on YouTube or Facebook or Insta, the numbers are so low. So you're having the most eyes on you, and the algorithm's so low because people aren't spending, which drives the algorithm. It's a perfect storm.
Yeah. So share with the audience a little bit of your journey, how you decided to do that. And then, I mean, you traveled all over the globe. You have created content that's better than half of the shit I see on TV. When I'm watching Netflix, I'm going, I'm going to watch any one of the shows that you produced because they're real, they're genuine, they're educational, they're inspiring, they're mysterious. I mean, so talk to me about the journey, or talk to us about the journey, because you were not that good to start with. You just start somewhere, you get better. And so from your one camera to full production, how does that happen?
Well, look, everything you're great at today, you once sucked at. So that's one of my favorites.
What a great line. What a great line.
So you need to get over that right away. So the show that you're referring to, one of the shows is called True Future, and you can find us on truefuture.tv. And we travel the world exploring technologies that especially index towards medical device and life science. Israel, Germany, Ireland, Miami, Flagstaff, California. We got Singapore on the docket. And what we do is we go explore the people, places, and tech, and these entrepreneurs and inventors that are creating these surgical robotics, machine learning, data analytics, all the things that are saving people's lives today in the COVID. And suddenly, we happen to be in the right place at the right time. So we started out, the very first day I had the idea about doing the content, I bought a Sony camera. I set it up in my home office at my house. And I made a video. I was all excited. I ran inside after I downloaded it on my laptop, showed it to my wife, and my wife goes, "You look like a moron." I said, "What are you talking about? That was good." And so she said, "Listen, your nephew just graduated from Massachusetts Institute of, Film or whatever it was. Call him up." So I called him up, and, I brought him in at the time. They did a great job. He and one of his classmates, they did a fantastic job for the first year and a half. But then I knew, you can't unsee what you see. And, we're living in a world of media. Whether you like it or not, it's the world we're in. You don't have to agree with it. You just have to acknowledge that it is by far the most powerful tool you can own, which is why governments who take over countries take the radio station over, which is why elections are influenced by other countries' presidential elections. Media rules how you think and what you think about. So if you just play that back, why would you not direct that at your business model? And again, as long as you're using your superpowers for good, which what media is, it's totally cool. So we went and for a little while, we played with that smaller crew, and I pushed all the chips to the middle of the table. And now we have probably one of the biggest all-in production companies in South Florida in regards to footprint, talent, resumes, gear. You, Steve, you've been in my studios. We got 2 big studios. We've got
Fascinating from the ground up, from vision to execution has been fascinating. I think for me, one of the best takeaways and you and I have very different strategies about how we go about, achieving success in social media, which is made for a great partnership. But, one of the great takeaways from all the traveling you did was that some of these people who are CEOs of those companies you talked about, they do other shit that's really cool. That they as people, I think one guy was making beer.
Actually, he opened up his own brewery in Nate in Flagstaff, right?
And that endeared me more to him as a leader than the whole tech thing that he was doing. And so when you uncover who people are, you with your martial arts background, you are the most disciplined guy I know. I think that's what we liked about each other, is that, when we go to work, we go to work. And as we shift to talking about what's gone on the last 6-8 weeks, this shocked the shit out of people. I think this was a real wake-up call. You've shared with me that some of your businesses are having the best months they've ever had. And I said, how does that happen? Share with the audience how does that happen?
God, so it's building a business on a good foundation. You pointed out, I'm about discipline. To me, discipline is freedom, because I don't have to worry about repositioning ourselves if the North Star was sound to begin with. This is, if you think about it like a 9-inning game, this is one pitch in a 9-inning game, what we're going through right now. And I don't mean to minimize the people who have passed or the people who have been sick, but in the scope of business, this is one pitch in a 9-inning game. And if you had developed your organization properly, if you had the right partners in your organization, accountants, bankers, lawyers, and partners, teammates, and you realize that you're just going to have to manage through this. And sure, did I batten down the hatches the first 30, 60 days? 100%. I cut my spend. I called all my partners. I said, listen, we're gonna meter everything back. But we didn't switch from our deliverables. What we did is we shifted certain things forward. As you pointed out, I'm 30 years in this one business. We're having, I think, our 3rd best month ever in this climate. We've launched 2 brand new products for my business. We haven't gone into defense or heels at all. We're in attack mode all the time. We hired 2 new people. I took on a chief vision officer role with the 3rd largest search firm in the world. And we're just moving forward. So it's discipline, Steve. I'm waking up an extra half hour earlier. I'm staying at the office later. So instead of waking up at 4, I'm getting up at 3:30 now. And I'm staying up at the office till 6:30 or 7, right? And it's pleasurable for me. It's not work. So, and my teammates are all here. And
I love the way you bring up the partnership, and because I know the culture there. Everybody's committed to the end game. And so culturally, when you get hit, you stay together as a team, you could be strong. And so I know you actually did a post and your writing is spectacular as well. I will tell you that you do more flat out, pure writing posts than anybody I know, but you thanked the team of people. You thanked your banker, you thanked your accountant, who I know, Michael Daskell, you thanked your lawyer, I know, Bob White. And I was like, look at this guy, everybody else is running scared. And you're like going, hey, I thank you. I got the right team. It's really, reminiscent of any challenge, of any, when you get hit, you got to be able to take the hits.
Look, these are the moments where, whenever I hire somebody to be a teammate of mine, I always think about them. I'm in a foxhole. Ammunition is gone. We've gone to bayonets. And am I going to have my 6'9", 3 covered? And that's how I hire. And that pays off when you get in that foxhole moment. And that, one of the key things you can do is constantly think of foxhole moments. You're not going to love each other in that foxhole. But when you go to bayonets, that is when you can come out and you can crush a one pitch out of a 9-inning game where it's just like,
that's awesome. I know that in the ramp up to us getting to know each other, and like I said, we met through LinkedIn. We physicalized it. We wound up having a cup of coffee that led to more understanding, mutual respect. But one of the things that we took away from each other, and I'm sort of putting words in your mouth, was that I knew you would work as hard or harder than me. It would never be, I got to worry about you like taking a pass. Oh, you're going to run that thing and I'm just going to autopilot. I think that's what people are seeing now, the qualities of their teammates that are either standing up or running away, and so I think, to your point, you've built that structure. It's fun to be in and around your organization. It's colorful. It's great. And so, obviously I'm a big fan. What else would you share with the audience specifically about, what's going on in this world? Because it looks like we're starting to unwrap a little bit. Some things are going to open, but there's really no normal ever. There was never a normal for me. People say I get up at 3:00. Dude, you're not normal. I go, that's what makes me successful.
Yeah.
What's in your mind? What does the world look like 90 days from now?
So I always you mentioned it, normal by whose definition, right? So, and no judgment zone anywhere. If you want to wake up at 10 and, drink beers till 10 at night, that's cool. Just don't bitch when you're not playing the same game as somebody who's not doing that.
Right.
So look, I put out a piece about a week and a half ago. You can go look on my LinkedIn page. It's a rant. We call it Untitled, Unfiltered. You can go on my YouTube page, and like, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. The government's not coming to save you. Your mom's not coming to save you. So let's take both extremes. The only people that are going to save you are the people in your foxhole and you. And so if you're waiting for that check, if you're waiting for that PPP loan, if you're waiting for somebody to tell you when to put the mask on and when to put the mask off, you're going to always be living by somebody who doesn't even know that you're alive. So don't forget that. The gentleman who's standing on the podium at 5:00 every day on the news has no idea you're alive. And if you're sitting there taking your direction from him and whoever it is, you're making a huge mistake. So that's number one. I'm not saying disrespect the message that comes out, but if you're waiting for that to be your savior, you're going to have issues. 90 days from now, as a businessman, here's the moves I'm making. I don't think travel is going to be the same ever again, especially for the rest of 2020. But let's assume never again, because again, if you're waiting for it to get back to regular, you're going to fumble the opportunity between June 1st and December 31st. I would up my game on telepresence. I would not only work out of a camera on the other side of a laptop. We show up, you're a very sharp dresser. We show up with certain jackets on because we want a presence when we walk in. We pick a certain shoe, a certain pen. We arrive a certain way in front of a customer. Think about how you're arriving in front of a customer. If you can go to a $5,000 4K camera with a high-end backdrop, I will promise you that will leave a mark, a positive one, when they are evaluating whether or not to give you business. And you do it everywhere else. Why would you not do it in that face-to-face? So that's number one. You're going to save a lot of money on trains, cars, planes. Invest in a really nice home studio, audio and video, because it's going to be your carrier probably for the rest of your business career. So that's number one. Number two is if you wake up an extra hour and a half early in the morning, and I'm assuming we're talking to entrepreneurs here.
We are.
And right. So that's who this audience is. I get people who say, work's not my life. I feel sorry for you that you get up at 4. I'm like, hon, don't feel sorry for me. I'm quite happy. Really, trust me. I know my sport. Nobody feels sorry for Michael Jordan when he practiced all those insane hours, yet they feel sorry for entrepreneurs who work all those hours. It's the same game, hon. So, get up an extra half hour early, work an extra 2 hours at the end of the day. And so you're going to find massive opportunities there. If you unwind every big deal you ever did, every big deal, You ran across that deal by accident. More accidents occur when you increase your time on the field.
Wow. Wow. I mean, listen, I know you a long time. That one's a grand slam. Wow. I love the way you talk, man. I just love it. That one, it's so right. Woo.
It's true.
It's true. I can tell you that I call it stepping shit. You know, you just get lucky, man, but you make your own luck by being out there on the field. That's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah,
love
it's true. It's true. And then, so that's it. Look, how you show up in front of your customer. You're not going to be able to do it on a plane. You're not going to be able to get in person, at least for the next 90 days. Nobody wants to see you, even if they're as handsome as you. You're not walking into anybody's office. So how are you going to show up? And then what are you going to do to add extra hours on the field to have that mistake happen again for you to turn that big deal? Those are my two takeaways for you. You are absolutely brilliant. You know, you and I could talk for hours. To validate that last comment, I got hired by a CEO of a large sports marketing company based in New York because he was watching LinkedIn for the last 2 weeks, and I wore a blazer every morning. He goes, I need this guy in my life. And I think my audience needs you in their life. You're a breath of fresh air. You're unique. I love everything about what you're doing. Keep on doing it. Thank you for stopping the trains to spend some time with us. We'll pick up our business when the time is appropriate, but there's lots of good things. Stay healthy, stay safe, and most of all, thanks for being on the ball. Thanks, Steve. Love you, buddy, and thanks for all you put out. Thank you, brother. Be well.